The 2018 Benelli Caffenero 150. SSR Motorsports continues its full-court press for a slice of the U.S. market by importing Benelli's Caffenero 150 scooter to attract the entry-level crowd and maybe some urban commuter traffic with its youthful looks and modern styling. A water-cooled plant churns out almost 13 horsepower with the expected twist-and-go operation courtesy of the CVT transmission, so it's easy to manage and control, even with no prior riding experience. Two-up seating and tween-feet storage lend the Caffenero a certain amount of inherent utility as well, so let's jump in and see what else Benelli has going on with this ride. Continue reading for my review of the Benelli Caffenero 150. Design. The wheelbase puts it in the midsize scooter category, but it's the cast 16-inch wheels at both ends that really give it such a little big bike look. Benelli falls under the Chinese-based Kiway umbrella, but the Caffenero retains plenty of Italian DNA in its overall appearance as well as its performance. The wheelbase puts it in the midsize scooter category with 54 inches between contact patch centers, but it's the cast 16-inch wheels at both ends that really give it such a little big bike look. A cut-down front fender rides between proper motorcycle-style telescopic forks, and that minimalist theme continues through the rest of the machine with a narrow build that pulls the sides in and leaves the black coffee. Seriously, that's what the name translates to, with a minimal foot space and step-through. The good news is that since there's no tunnel to interrupt the floorboard area, you get to use the tween-feet storage to expand the Caffenero's meager cargo carrying capacity. Flip-up footboards and a grab rail join the pillion pad to complete the passenger's gear, and if passenger and pilot aren't good friends at the beginning of the ride, they likely will be by the end of it because the Ppad is rather short and will place pillion and pilot in very close proximity indeed. A black grille leads the way with recessed turn signal housings in the edges of the false cowl formed by the fairing lowers for some clean lighting to match the headlight in the handlebar fairing and the tail turn signal group out back, all with LED tech to put out the lumens. The handlebar rocks a fairing similar to the classic Italian-style rides but puts a contemporary spin on it with some sporty angles and a miniature flyscreen that looks cool, but probably shelters little beyond the instrumentation that rides just behind. Overall, a fairly sleek visage greets the eye, and it's clear that the Caffenero is catering to the younger end of the buyer spectrum. Chassis. These large-diameter tires lend the Caffenero handling characteristics far beyond what you can expect from scooters rolling on the typical 12 to 14-inch donuts. Rather than relying on a complex monocoque assembly to provide the structure, Benelli runs with the underframe option that I vastly prefer for its ease of body repairs compared to the alternative, generally speaking. Hydraulically dampened telescopic forks float the front end on 3.54 inches of travel with a pair of coil-over rear shocks that dampen the motion of the swing-mount drive system. As for the wheels, it's impossible to overstate the value of those 16-inch rims along with the 180ths and 120/80ths hoops they mount on the front and rear, respectively. These large-diameter tires lend the Caffenero handling characteristics far beyond what you can expect from scooters rolling on the typical 12 to 14-inch donuts. Benelli kept the brakes modern as well with fore and aft hydraulic discs. Thank goodness, it is an unending source of amazement for me that so many manufacturers cling to their rear drum brakes, only to inflict them on their patrons. The discs measure out at 250 mm with straight-up honest braking and no ABS to complicate the plumbing. Drivetrain. Keep it around town, 'cause on the highway, it's going to take everything you've got to keep up. A water-cooled thumper drives the Caffenero, and as with most scooters, it is a stressed member that bolts up to the transmission housing that also mounts the rear wheel to form the swing-mount drive unit. The single cylinder displaces 150.1 cc and uses FE to manage the induction and help it meet emission standards which are relatively lax on these small displacement mills. At 7,500 revolutions per minute, the plant generates 12.9 horsepower at the shaft with 9.8 pound-feet to torque at 6 grand, and that power flows through the V-belt, continuously variable transmission for the twist-and-go operation sans clutch or foot shifter. A centrifugal clutch decouples the system at idle to act as a sort of neutral. Numbers on the top speed are scarce and/or questionable. I've seen one dude claim 82 miles per hour, but I know for a fact that he had significant help from the terrain to hit some artificially high speeds. Suffice to say, if you try to take this thing on the interstate, you're going to be spending a lot of time looking over your shoulder cause it's going to take everything you've got to keep up. Pricing. MSRP makes it attractive for folks on a budget. The price should make it attractive enough to riders on a budget with a $2,399 MSRP. A destination charge of $235 gets tacked onto that, and you can seriously inflate that figure if you visit the accessories catalog. Competitors. Fit and finish goes to the tuning fork company, but on a budget buyers may go for the Benelli. If it's more important for you to stick near the same engine size than to bargain hunt, then Yamaha's SMA-X may also be on your short list. Now to be fair, at $4,099 there's a bit of a price gap to be sure, but you aren't bargain hunting, remember? What does that get you? Well, another modern-looking ride for starters. The front end is reminiscent of the larger displacement SMA-X WTH, a tall vented windshield that beats the socks off the Caffenero's flyscreen as far as rider protection goes. A full step-through leaves room for storage and easy mounting, dismounting, just like the Benelli, but Yamaha scores major points with an underseat storage compartment that the Caffenero doesn't seem to have room for. The power plants are similar in their layout and cooling method, but Yamaha crams in more cubage with a 155cc thumper and claims 10 pound-feet, 0.2 pounds more than the Benelli, barely worth mentioning, but there it is. Of course, there's the fit and finish to consider, and the win goes to the tuning fork company on that point, so that goes a long way to justifying some of the price difference. He said. No way around it, it may have an Italian name and look, but this is a Chinese-built scooter and you are welcome to read anything into that you like. Wink, nudge. It ain't a bad-looking ride, but it doesn't exactly stand out from the crowd very well, except for that bitchin' grille on the front, that's a nice detail. It's probably good for a short, easy commute, but if price isn't an issue, that SMA-X gives you a lot more bike for your buck. She said. My wife and fellow motorcycle rider, Alan Hinton, says, I am happy to see fuel injection this year. Along with front and rear disc brakes, that tells me this scooter can be a contender. When we first started looking at this scooter, I was joking around calling it the Caffeine Reno, and it turns out I wasn't far off the mark. When translated, the name is black coffee. Specifications. References. Yamaha SMA-X. See our review of the Yamaha SMA-X to Art 171238.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.